If you're looking to take your home or business to the next level, then RM Contractors and Custom Drywall can assist you. RM specializes in new residential turnkey, new commercial turnkey, home and office remodeling. Call them for free estimates. Serving all of South Florida, licensed and insured. Call Ray or Mike, 305-345-3649. You work hard to create the perfect atmosphere. You dream it, we'll build it. RM Contractors and Custom Drywall, 305-345-3649 or Instagram at RMC Fisher Island. If you're looking to take your home or business...
There's just one place to get our lowest payment on the new 2024 Acura ZDX, $299 a month. It's the Season of Performance event at Acura of Pembroke Pines, #1 in the USA.
We are live. It is the AEW Dynamite Recap Show. I am Sean Stanley. This is part of the Squared Circle Digest Stanley Media House Network. Appreciate everybody that's tuned in right now. If you're watching us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch, on X, appreciate everybody. If you watched Dynamite, you saw the return of Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay. He started the show. He ended the show. We'll discuss that a whole lot more. Great women's triple threat match with Toni Storm, Willow Nightingale, Chris Statlander. You had the men's Casino Gauntlet. You also had Lashley taking on Mark Briscoe. The Hurt Syndicate putting their bids in to become the next tag team champions. You saw that as well. So a lot happened on this episode of Dynamite. A very good Dynamite, actually. It was quite entertaining. It was, AEW performs in the ring all the time, and I love the way things are progressing. My question, and I talked about it last night on the Squared Circle Digest, which, shameless plug, every Tuesday night right here on the Stanley Media House Network YouTube channel and also on the Frankie Fresco YouTube channel, and then also on the Stanley Media House social media channels. We discuss AEW, WWE, and pro wrestling. Last night I said, I wonder where they're going to go, which way they're going to go with the Death Riders angle, because you've got, you had the Fatal 4-Way at World's End, which, really was just leading up to the return of Cope and Rated FTR. And then you saw tonight, it kind of continued. Cope comes into the ring, kind of lays, everything that tonight there was a lot of, the promos were very passionate as far as, what I've done, what I've gone through. You had Cope, you had Kenny Omega, a lot of guys that have been through a lot of shit, in their careers to be at the point they're at now, and it adds that viability as far as, you can feel that. You go through, every day people go through things, maybe not to the realm of a broken neck and a broken leg and fighting, but everybody has their things they go through daily in life, and you have to keep fighting. You have to get up. You got to answer the bell. You got to keep fighting, and hopefully you win that battle. And you saw two great promos tonight. One was Cope, and the other one being Kenny Omega at the end. So we'll discuss everything. We'll start it out. A great opening match. Will Ospreay, Buddy Matthews, and a great back and forth. Will Ospreay got to show what he could do. Buddy Matthews, thank you, finally getting the singles. I know he's shown what he can do in the trios, the tag teams. I've always wanted him to get a singles run. I thought he was misused in WWE, and hopefully now he'll get that run. The only thing I didn't understand was at the end, Ospreay cuts that promo, like you and I wrestled Brody King last week, and I wrestled you this week, and you don't need anybody else. And then I understand, I guess there is a report from Fightful Select that maybe Malachi Black is finishing up with AEW. I read it on an aggregate. I have not been able to confirm. I was looking at it as we're going here because I was trying to figure out what the promo meant. Why all of a sudden there's no mention of Malachi Black. And then it was like, you and Brody can do this on your own. You don't need to be led. You don't need to follow. And it kind of, and in my notes, I even put like, what is going on? Where's Malachi Black? Because at the time I didn't know that was out there floating around, but I guess apparently there are some things that he might be finishing up. He is actually going to be on a show in Tampa if you're in the area this Saturday. The Coastal Championship Wrestling, CCW, returning to Tampa, and Malachi Black is on that card. So if you're in that area Saturday night, make sure and check out, I think it's ccwalive.com, and see exactly. It's at a brewing company there. I can't remember exactly which one because they go to quite a few, but they're all over the place. Coastal Championship Wrestling, check them out. But Malachi Black is on the card there, and apparently he's either finishing up or he is now done at AEW. So we'll see where they go from there. But Buddy Matthews and Brody King both can do it on their own, and I'm excited to see what is next for Buddy Matthews because I hope he gets a good little run. Private Party comes out, either having a little party, and then the Hurt Syndicate music hits. MVP comes in there, and he's like, I started the Red Ropes, the MVP and everything there. They do a toast, and he says, I want to toast to Private Party, the champions, and then Lashley grabs, and toasts, and he says that, the Hurt Syndicate are going to take the titles, the tag team titles. And they pour out the drinks. Lashley goes to the ring to take on Mark Briscoe. And this is the one thing, and this is where, again, I felt like the Mark Briscoe-Lashley match went a little long. You're pushing Lashley as, the monster here. And again, Mark Briscoe can take a beating. Mark Briscoe, we know all everything, the accolades. He's been the ROH champion. He's done all that. But I felt like that match could have been a little bit quicker. And then you lead into the whole thing of them attacking him at the end after, beating Mark Briscoe, and then Private Party runs in with the chairs. And the thing that this is my one thing. I wish they would have dropped him outside. They slide in with the chairs, and then Bobby Lashley and MVP and Shelton Benjamin are just there, just looking at him, like daring him to swing the chairs. Swing the chairs, you won't do it. And then they leave the ring, and they just kind of back out of the ring, and Private Party is just there holding the chairs. I feel like sometimes it makes the baby faces look bad. And again, it's my preference. Other people are going to love it, and it's not right or wrong. It's just, I've watched it done in WWE, and I disagree with it. I've watched it done here in AEW. I've watched it done, if you're running to the ring with a chair, use the chair. Use it. It just, those little things to me, and again, my preference, it's not AEW's doing wrong or WWE's doing wrong or anything like that. It's just, at times, I think, if you're running to the ring with a weapon, why are you not going to use the weapon? So, there we go, that. And then there was the Casino Gauntlet. And I thought, the Casino Gauntlet, there ended up being, if I got my math right, 11 entrants into the Casino Gauntlet. Of course, Jay White wins. Jay White won the number one entrant. Okay. And the whole thing is this: you always want to be number one or number two, because in the Casino Gauntlet, for those that don't follow AEW or might not understand what the Casino Gauntlet match is, the Casino Gauntlet kind of like, think about it as the Royal Rumble, okay? But it's a pinfall, not over the top rope, and the pinfall can happen at any times. Number one, number two, get in the ring, the pinfall happens, the Casino Gauntlet is over. Everybody else in the back doesn't get the opportunity. There was one time, I think the last one, the Casino Gauntlet went 7 people deep. You know, this one goes 11, and I'm going to go the order that they came out. It was Jay White, then Hangman Page, Wheeler Yuta, Ricochet, which Ricochet actually started with, I believe, Swerve's house and then went to his music. Then Adam Cole, Daniel Garcia, Powerhouse Hobbs, Roderick Strong, Lance Archer, Kyle O'Reilly, and then Jeff Jarrett. Music hit, he starts coming down, Wheeler Yuta and him battle to the back. He never really made it in to the Casino Gauntlet. And in the end, I thought it was a surprise win. When you see Powerhouse Hobbs, you know, I'm happy. I'm happy because it's another one that I thought is kind of underutilized. And Powerhouse Hobbs now will face Jon Moxley in Moxley's hometown of Cincinnati, Ohio, next week, Maximum Carnage. It will be Powerhouse Hobbs taking on Jon Moxley. It's going to be very interesting to see, you know, how that match goes. Because again, Moxley kind of was the one that kind of brought Hobbs in, and he alluded that to the promo at the end. And I got a question. And if you're listening to it on the podcast, comment below. If you're watching on social media, throw in the comment. You're watching this on YouTube, Twitch later on, throw this in the comment. I just got a question. Renee Paquette, every time, you know, she's the real life wife of Jon Moxley, okay? She's interviewing Powerhouse Hobbs, and Powerhouse Hobbs, you know, is like, you know, this, and then next week, Moxley, I'm going to make you my bitch. And he's just kind of looking at Renee, and Renee's got that scowl on her face, man. I wonder if that's ever going to turn into something later on, or if it's just going to be that way. Renee does a great job, but I've noticed lately as more people are, you know, making those comments about Moxley and things like that, she's getting a little look on her face. I don't know if that's just, you know, just her being the loving wife, or if they're going to start working that into something. But I did find that interesting on there. You had a Christian Hook promo next week, also on Maximum Carnage. They will finally meet and go one-on-one. Then they go back to the ring, and it's Jeff Jarrett in his hometown or home state of Tennessee. Again, another promo where he kind of says he wonders if he still has what it takes to get to be the king of the mountain again. MJF music hits. MJF comes out. He does all his talk about, you know, Jarrett's only signed a 1-year deal because that's all that wrestling believes he has left. That's all that pro wrestling believes he has left. And that's why he signed to the 1. Then he tries to make a deal with Jeff Jarrett, like, hey, I'll help you win the title. And then when you win the title, I get the first shot. Of course, Double J shoots him down, says you learn from your failures, learn more from your failures than your successes. And he called him 2 things. One, he called him a one-hit wonder, which I'm waiting for the MJF one-hit wonder shirt now. And then the other one, which I think another Double J must have gave him another shirt idea. He called him the entitled prick. MJF, the entitled prick. And Memo's in the house. EA Minutes in the house. Richie, TWE. Okay, EA Minutes, welcome to the show. Again, the recaps on Monday and Wednesday will be on as soon as Raw and Dynamite go off the air. SmackDown, depending on when it's the 3 hours and the 2 hours, maybe live or recorded, and also the NXT. There's a problem with the video on NXT. As soon as I get that figured out and up, it will be uploaded as well. Appreciate everybody jumping in there. Memo asks, why Edge went to Cope? Well, one, he couldn't be Edge because WWE owns that. They did give him the Rated R Superstar, and he came over as the Rated R Superstar Adam Copeland. But you have Hangman Adam Page, you have Adam Cole, and you have Adam Copeland. So on his return, he has now went to just Cope, the rated R superstar Cope. A lot of people upset about it. A lot of people, I don't know that, again, it is what it is. I think you could just stay the rated R superstar. And then you have rated FTR. Then the next actual thing we were going to get to was Cope comes in for the promo, cuts it about him breaking his neck with Eddie Guerrero and finishing the match and winning. Breaking his leg against Malachi Black, finishing the match and winning. And then, Moxley's music hits. They come out. It's Moxley, Claudio, and Yuta out. Then FTR attacks the Yuta and Claudio from behind. They're fighting all throughout the crowd. Cope's got the advantage on Moxley. Marina Shafir comes out with the case, slides it in. I'm looking for Moxley to grab the case. Moxley's laying in the corner, not getting up, not doing anything. Edge grabs Marina Shafir, and then Pac makes his return. And they end up putting the Bulldog choke on Cope. Then they bring out the plastic bag like they were going to put him out. And Powerhouse Hobbs comes out and makes the save as the Death Riders retreat. And I'm waiting to see this whole Death Riders angle and how they're going to do it. Because I felt like they should have been kind of reporting to somebody. Somebody should have been like leading them and everything that they're doing. And again, I'll sit and I'll wait to see how it goes because it's been a good storyline. You had the battle with all of the AEW top talent. He said none of them were good enough. Now you've got Cope coming out. Cope, you can't say that Cope isn't good enough. So it's going to be interesting to see where this goes and how it escalates. And again, you have also rated FTR in the thing with the learning tree on Collision, which this week on Collision, Dax is taking on Chris Jericho and Cope is taking on Big Bill. So a couple good matches there on Collision. EA Minutes asked, do you think Cope is a big downgrade? No, I don't think it matters, man. I mean, honestly, I think if he says the rated R superstar Cope, now if you just start going Cope, you might lose. People might not know who that is until they see him, and then they'll be like, "Oh, okay," But I think if you say the rated R superstar Cope, I think I don't think it's a downgrade. I mean, you change with everything. I mean, I used it last night, and I mean when Shane Helms, when he went to WWE, Vince McMahon was like, "You need to change your name. You can't be Shane. We have a Shane McMahon." So he became the Hurricane. And it was one of the best things for him. I mean, little things change, man. You've got to, Chris Jericho's a master at it. You kind of, reinvent yourself in a way. So if he does it right, I don't think it's a downgrade at all. I just don't think it's really much of a, everybody's making a big deal out of it, but I don't think there's much of a deal to be made about it. Look, man. You're Cope. I mean, some people call him Edge still. I mean, you are what you are. But he is going by Cope, the rated R superstar Cope, and I don't think that's going to be a downgrade on that end. Mariah May did a promo where she wants the women to, yeah. Well, again, you have to remember too. This is the problem you have with a lot of the stuff is. There's merchandise, there's other things involved with the Edge name that WWE might be doing, which is why they didn't, give him that name. It surprised me, honestly, when they started letting a lot of these guys use their names. When you had the CM Punks come in and you had Adam Cole and Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, all these guys were coming in. Ricochet with their names that used to not happen in WWE, and in WCW too as well. It was always usually they changed their names. Why? Because then they get the rights to the merchandise or the videos or whatever. They end up owning that name, and then when you leave, then you end up having to go and be, the Big Show, Paul White. Mark Henry's Mark Henry because that's his name. So there are instances where, you're the world's strongest man, Mark Henry. Okay, but now he's just Mark Henry. They never really called him the world's strongest man in AEW. It was just Mark Henry. So you have those instances to where things like that happen. And now, sounds funky. Hi, I'm Cope. Yeah, I mean, again, it's his name's Copeland. So, it would have been better if you just said, here's Copeland. That it could have been Copeland, I guess, but Cope is easier to me. I don't know. Again, I don't look a lot into the names, man, as far as he's going to be Edge to me. He's going to be Edge to me for everything. Just like Bryan Danielson is Daniel Bryan, but it was Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon before that. So, you can kind of go back and forth with those two, but Edge is always going to be Edge to me. That's what I watched him. I grew up on him, and it's just everybody, caters to whatever name it's going to be. So we'll see where that goes. Mariah May cut a great promo talking about the women's gauntlet match, how she wanted to see all the women perform for her to see who gets the right to fight for the title. And then Harley Cameron came in and did her thing that she's doing now. And it looks like apparently she's going to get a match on Collision as well. So we'll see where that goes. Then they went to the number one entrant into the women's Casino Gauntlet match. And it was Toni Storm, Chris Statlander, Willow Nightingale. Willow and Chris still doing, remember Chris turned on Willow and now she's trying to right wrongs. And you saw little things, playing out still there. And again, I like what they're doing. Statlander did a sit down with Renee Paquette and kind of explained her side, the story and everything else. And again, there's a lot of layers to the Statlander Willow Nightingale thing. Chris Statlander ends up pinning Toni Storm, which I didn't expect. I didn't know which way they were going to go with it. Because again, all this is, it ensures you the number one entrant in the women's gauntlet match. Doesn't give you anything else. It just gives you that first entrant to where if the match ends early, you've already got a chance to go in there. And then you saw, Nightingale in the corner, still kind of upset that Statlander got that one. So we'll see where that goes. Again, a lot of things are happening in AEW. If you're not paying attention, you're not following it, again, I get it. I get some people saying, oh, but since the Evolution pay-per-view, minus a couple weeks in between, I feel like a switch has been flipped. And there is, again, not saying that they weren't telling stories before, but it was more top-level stories and not for the rest of the thing. But now you're getting stories developing throughout the card. And again, my preference, not right, not wrong, my preference is more of the storytelling entertainment. That's the part I like. So for me, I like where, they're kind of heading to, because you're watching things. It's like I said, I don't know what's going to happen with the storyline of the Death Riders, but I'm very interested to see what route they take. And I will sit there and I will watch it unfold and see how it comes out. So that's going to be very interesting. And then also the one thing about this women's Casino Gauntlet match, the winner faces Mariah May in Australia. If anybody knows anything about the marketing or anything that AEW's already done, Toni Storm was in Australia for like a month promoting the, I think it's Grand Slam Australia. I believe it's Grand Slam Australia. So I got to believe she's going to win the gauntlet and head to take on Mariah May. I believe she's from Australia as well, Toni Storm. So at some point, again, they did a promo with Toni Storm in the back. She's like, I'm just not good enough yet. I'm just not there. I don't know when the switch is going to get flipped for the Toni Storm story, but I got to believe she's going to get the title match at Grand Slam Australia. So it's very interesting to see. Again, I'm very intrigued by the stories that are being told. This is what my wrestling fandom is what I like. It's what I grew up on. You know, it was just, you got the story started on Saturday, and then as they traveled around, you went and saw the story finish live in your hometown in a way. You know, when it was Florida Championship Wrestling or Championship Wrestling from Florida. You know, those were the ways. And you're watching this Toni Storm thing, and it started with her as, you know, timeless Toni Storm. Then she gets beat. Then she kind of loses herself. And then she comes back now as a rookie. And now she's got to fight her way back up through the ranks. And again, not saying, I don't know that she would win the Casino Gauntlet, but I got to feel that that's got to be the direction, seeing as it's going home for her. But again, you never know. And it wouldn't be right or wrong either way you looked at it for AEW. So that's going to be another interesting thing. You've got a lot of intriguing angles, and another one started tonight. Because after that match, they brought back Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega, again, cut a great promo, very passionate. Everything he's been through with diverticulitis. And again, anybody that knows, you know, Brock Lesnar went through diverticulitis. It pulled him out of the UFC. He had to get surgery done there. You know, I mean, I guess Kenny's was pretty bad to where, you know, if he didn't get into the hospital when he did, it could have been life-threatening. You know, a lot of things that could have happened. Excuse me real quick. Got a little bit of dry throat here today. Sorry about that. So, but Kenny Omega does make his return. Don Callis' music hits. Don Callis walks out to the ring. Kenny Omega just says, screw it, I'm going after you. Starts beating him up. Then Lance Archer and the Machine, Brian Cage, come out. They start beating him around. Kenny gets in a couple shots here and there. Then all of a sudden, you know, Cage, they hold Cage, and it's an abdomen shot into the area. Anybody knows, you know, where your intestines are. Took a shot to the abdomen, and then they were beating him down. Will Ospreay's music hits, and Will Ospreay comes out and saves Kenny Omega. And anybody knows the history of Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay in Japan. You got the face down, and I felt like, you know, it might have went a little bit long, or maybe they thought it was just kind of like they were sitting there staring at each other, kind of giving the things, and then you saw Kenny kind of hold the thing, or Ospreay kind of turned. I don't know if they thought the camera was off of them yet, and then it went to the things, just a little thing there. But it's going to be interesting to see where they go. Another intriguing question: what happens with Omega and Ospreay now? Where does that go? So a lot of things, a lot of good stuff happening on Dynamite to me. Again, I like the stories, and of course, you know, AEW delivers in the ring. That the wrestling is not a question to me as far as the in-ring talent, the in-ring ability of either side, either company. You know, I'm just more of I like having the storytelling and in the ring, out of the ring, and building up to certain points to where, you know, it's entertainment. It's an episodic TV series. It's like watching, if you watch NCIS or whatever your favorite show is, it needs to keep the storyline going to keep you intrigued, you know, and this has got a lot, Dynamite now, and, you know, Collision, AEW's got a lot going on right now. Next week, they've already got Mox versus Hobbs for the AEW Championship. Omega takes on Cage. Omega returns to the ring next week. The women's Casino Gauntlet match will be next week. The winner goes to Grand Slam Australia. And Hook will take on Christian. And I'm sure they'll add some matches here and there throughout the week. But those 4 matches have been signed. And we'll see what happens there. But overall, to me, I thought Dynamite tonight was a great showing. A very entertaining show. From Ospreay opening the show to Ospreay closing the show. And if you will, please follow me on X at StanleyMedia_11. And then I'm at Stanley Media House on all other platforms of social media. Got a Facebook page. It is Stanley Media House. and then also the YouTube channel, Stanley Media House Network YouTube channel. Please go to it, hit the subscribe, like, leave your comments, join in the community, trying to build this community to have some great debate on wrestling, WWE, AEW, New Japan, Ring of Honor, TNA, local indie shows. I'm here in Florida, in Miami. So for me, it's Coastal Championship Wrestling, and there's some other ones that run shows periodically as well. So again, if you're in the Tampa area, please go out and support Coastal Championship Wrestling this Saturday. Malachi Black will be making his debut in CCW this Saturday in Tampa. Again, Sean Stanley, Squared Circle Digest, every Tuesday, 7 p.m. We go live, about 1.5, 2 hour shows talking everything pro wrestling. And then we also recap Raw, NXT, Dynamite, SmackDown. And we'll probably head to Collision as well, as the football season is coming to an end. So I will not be having to cover the Dolphins anymore. So weekends open up a little bit for me. So we'll be discussing that as well. Also, once the NASCAR season starts back over, we'll be doing shows posting on Friday morning and Monday morning of everything that happened in the racing weekend. And of course, Sean Stanley Sports Talk will start kicking off every Thursday at 6 p.m. starting next week. January 16th will be the first show of Sean Stanley Sports Talk. In the words of the great Gordon Soley, appreciate everybody. Actually, these are not his words. These are the words of Sean Stanley. I want to thank everybody that has been here. If you're watching afterwards, appreciate you. Any support that you give to this platform is greatly appreciated. And now, in the words of the great Gordon Soley, so long from the sun, shine, state.